It's the week of the Spring Statement, a chance for the Chancellor to update the UK on the true state of the public finances. Good morning everyone and welcome back to Morning Markets. The week ahead is going to focus entirely on the fiscal update from the Chancellor on Wednesday. The Spring Statement will encompass new and revised forecasts from the Office of Budget Responsibility, but we already know it's a difficult task for the Chancellor. The spending cuts announced are really just trying to offset the recent rise in borrowing costs. So the $7 billion in spending cuts announced to take effect fully by 2030 is really the Chancellor trying to preserve this so-called fiscal headroom. That is, the forecast, the expectation that by the end of this Labour government, debt as a share of GDP will begin to fall. But that's a tough ask for a number of structural reasons. One is that the UK economy continues to get older. There are more and more people reliant on welfare and fewer people as a share of the population in work contributing to the tax base. And that's one of the reasons why the tax base will have to rise to the highest since the Second World War by the end of this decade. And that leaves little room for the Chancellor to raise taxes again. In fact, this is why there is the focus on spending restraint. But in truth, it's really just a rounding error. Next year, government will spend £1.25 trillion. So saving around $7 billion is something in the region of 0.5% off the spending commitment. It's not a lot, but it does go to show just how difficult spending cuts in the UK are. If government were truly serious about spending cuts, they would likely have to target either national pensions or the NHS, and we know that both of those are politically very difficult for government, especially a Labour government. So the messaging on Wednesday is likely to be difficult for the Chancellor because this government face interest rates or the cost of borrowing on gilts higher than under Liz Truss's term. So this is very difficult because this is going to add to the spending restraint for next year. It's also going to add to that debt interest bill. And it's very difficult in a year ahead when the government has to borrow $300 billion extra in gilts. So expect some more nuanced messaging from Chancellor Reeves about global events affecting bond yields, that is the cost of borrowing. And that's true to some extent. Yields have gone up in Europe as well. But it's likely also a reflection of the fact that the UK is struggling to generate growth and also has a productivity crisis. That productivity crisis is best felt in where GDP per capita is not rising, but GDP overall is rising modestly. And that's really just a reflection on the difficulty that UK's businesses have in getting more productivity out of their workers. So let's not expect too cheery a statement from the Chancellor on Wednesday. However, UK assets, particularly equities, continue to do very well in this current environment. So the focus will be on government, but your investment team here remain focused on global events. That's all for today. Thank you.
This video is not a recommendation or personal financial advice. With investing, your capital is at risk. Investments can fluctuate in value and you may get back less than you invest.